Today, friends, we're going to be watching the devs answer some questions. This is the community Q&A July video. In the near future for New World, for those of you who don't know, there's an expansion coming. They got a big expansion coming in October where they're adding in mounts, a new weapon, new zone, new quest line. There's also going to be like a soft reset to gear because they're doing like a gear score increase, new tier of items. A lot of exciting stuff that we don't really know too much about. So hopefully we're going to get some more details in this video. Let's tune in and check it out.
A barbershop feature is on your plans. Is there any plan for the character rename feature? Are you aware of the time it takes to accumulate Azoth salt in the game?
More to come.
Yes.
Okay, no like really big juicy questions straight away there. Barbershop's kind of important because right now in New World your character appearance is like really limited. Like you get to you get to choose like 3 different face types and there's like 4 types of hair, and you have body type A and B and that's it. Like I don't know, New World's character creator is pretty terrible, so nothing else looking too exciting there. But fingers crossed. Come on.
Hey everybody, welcome to Forge in Eternum, where we talk about all things New World. Today I'm here.
My camera's in the way, but let's just move that real quick. So we have Katie Kaczynski on the left. Hold on, I'll just in case, you know, Katie Kaczynski is live lead, senior producer. Scott Lane is game director. David Verify, creative director. So some big devs here, like the leads of various, I don't know, positions within Amazon Game Studios for New World.
Eternum, where we talk about all things New World. Today I'm here with Dave and Katie, and we're going to do our monthly community Q&A. This is where once a month we take questions from all of our social media networks, YouTube, Discord, Twitter, Reddit, and any other one, Threads.
Even Reddit.
Probably.
Literally
Not the forums anymore though, because they deleted the forums.
everywhere.
Everywhere we can think of. So with that in mind, let's just dive in and start answering some questions.
First question.
Are you happy with how many people attempted the Sandworm and beat the Sandworm? Will you tune future raid content so that it is more likely to be able to be completed by random groups?
We did kill the sandworm, by the way. We managed to do it. The loot isn't really that good. I think quite a few people have killed the sandworm now. It'll be interesting to hear what they have to say.
Yes, we are very happy. I think the win rates are, difficult. That's what we wanted. And I think also want to just say thank you for the PTR feedback. I think it helped us tune this. We got a lot of value out of that.
It was much easier on the
bound to be
PTR.
hard. That's a goal we had. We've achieved that. I think what we're counting on is that in the future, gear score will increase, and that as players get more powerful, that will allow a larger segment of the players to play it. So we want it to be sort of challenging elite content at first and then open up to more players over time.
Yeah.
Sounds like they don't actually plan to like change anything with the content. Then they're not going to scale the content with the new gear score increase. They're just going to leave it as it is. That's interesting.
Something pretty cool, like that we got a metric when we had the first dove on I forget which world it was on, but when we got our first win, it had been attempted over 14,000 times.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool. And since then we've had a pretty good roll of people.
So was it 1 for 14,000?
Yeah, it was a crazy ratio.
So even the devs have killed
since
it.
then, we've obviously had a roll of other people who have been able to make it through the sandworm.
Is there any plan for the character rename feature?
I hope so.
It's something that we are talking about, but no plans to share yet with the community.
So interesting fact, you can actually rename your character in New World. I wouldn't recommend you do it, but I've seen people doing it. I'm not saying I recommend it. You can get people to report your name, and if enough people report your name in-game, assuming that you don't get banned or suspended, they will just force a name change on you. I've seen this happen to quite a few people who called their characters like Jeffrey Bezos, Jeff Bezos, Jeffy B. They seem to be forced like a character rename, so interesting how it does actually exist, but they don't allow you to really utilize it other than through the report feature.
What do you think about adding suggested open world PvP elements such as hot zones and a caravan trading system?
That'd be cool.
Conceptually, I love it. We've talked about both of those a lot. I think that we're not ready to go into any specifics on how time frames we're thinking about those, but at a high level, I think both of them, the open world PvP is just, it's fun, it's cool, and if we can find more ways to make that engaging for players and to give them cool things to do, I think it'll pay off.
Yeah, and season 3 is going to bring.
I was going to say the same thing.
It's going to bring a new way that people are going to be able to push influence. So that's going to hopefully bring a lot of open world PvP moments, because we're going to try to get as many folks into certain areas at the same time as possible. So stay tuned for more information on that as we start talking about season 3 and the expansion.
Yeah,
Super cool.
Oh.
Cool, but we are going to push, like in the long term, we have plans to push well past that.
Yeah, that's just the first step.
So fun fact, like for those of you who played New World a long time ago, if there's any of them out there, in the alpha of New World, it was like basically a PvP sandbox game. Like, well, it wasn't full PvP. If you wanted to flag for PvP in the alpha of New World, it was called Criminal Intent. So you could be flagged for criminal intent. And there were certain areas on the map, Merkgard right up at the top, and also Weaver's Fen, which was like a kind of as a settlement. Both of those areas, if you went into them, they were just flagged as like lawless zones. So if you're in that area, the law didn't apply. You could just kill whoever you want and take their stuff. So they do already kind of have the concept in the game a long time ago, but New World has changed a lot since then.
I was just saying, I saw a Reddit thread last night about like, oh my God, pushes take too long. Yeah. And this change not only is going to make it way more fun, it's also going to make it way more compact, which I think players are going to love.
Definitely, I saw that one too. It directly addresses that.
We once spent like 2 hours pushing Ebonsgale into conflict. It was like, it was miserable, dude.
What's up, guys?
Are you aware of the time it takes to accumulate Azoth salt in the game? It feels rather lengthy.
Just do
Are there
PvP
plans
arena
to increase the Azoth salt awarded from activities? Thank you.
It doesn't take too long, I don't
think. Well,
think.
First, you're welcome for, I think we made a great change on the PvP track. I think what's happened here is that there's just so much good stuff now, right? Like we've really buffed the PvP reward track, and I think players want to spend more. And we haven't sort of adjusted the salt rates to account for that. So it's something we're looking at. I think players who played for a while, Katie, you were saying you've accumulated,
like a cap.
For a long time. I did too. Like there just wasn't enough to spend on. Yeah. So we were thinking salt was too abundant. But now that there's a lot of good things, we are seeing this more. And it's something we're looking at.
Any plans for fresh start servers this year? They really helped boost the player population last year.
This is a big question. This comes up in Twitch chat like all the time. Are they going to do fresh start for the expansion? Also, some people might be asking, are they going to charge for the expansion? I don't know. That's what I'm hoping they're going to answer in this video. Fresh start servers, big deal.
Yeah, they definitely did. But we have no plans at this point. That doesn't mean that we definitely won't. It just means that at this point, it's not something that's on our radar for 2023.
And I think last year they had that impact because we made so many corrections and changes to the game that I think it warranted it. Now we've been doing a lot of changes and a lot of tuning, but I don't think that they've been as substantial, especially in the economy.
Yeah, and part of that is we want to make the fresh start experience to feel brand new, like what you're saying. And a good chunk of that is finishing the revamp of the main story quest line. And that will be throughout this year. So if we were going to talk about fresh start servers, most likely they would be next year.
Interesting. Okay.
Can you explain your point of view on the desire to add seasonal content instead of real definitive content? Because it is not the temporary quests that will attract new players, unfortunately.
It sounds pretty harsh, but I also think there is some truth in this. Like they added a seasonal trial, so there's like a raid boss that you can fight at the hatchery, and it's only supposed to last for this season, which is, I don't know, I feel like we need permanent, like long-term content in the game. So I kind of agree with what he's saying here. Interesting to see what the devs have to say.
Yeah, I don't think, I consider seasonal content real definitive content. I think it's engaging for the players, and it gives. The best thing about seasonal content is the lapsed player can come back and have some engaging content, something to participate in, and it gives you that reason to come back and check in. We're also looking at ways to reuse or to keep seasonal content around longer. So if you remember like season 1, that whole story didn't go away. We actually kept part of it for new players who would come in after the fact, and we're looking at more ways to do that more and more into the future. So nice. I guess my view is I think it's really cool. I personally, as a player, like and appreciate it because it makes the game and my goals change every quarter or so. So I think it's good.
Well, we also have more than just content that's related to seasons too. Like we have real definitive content. Like for instance, in season 2, we had the Sandworm Elite trial come out, and that was a pretty big hit with players. In addition to the seasonal content, which keeps things kind of fresh and new. And as Scott said, we keep part of those quest lines so that people can still get the rewards. They can still get the band together for the Silver Crows. So I understand where this person's coming from, but I think that we have a pretty good mixture, and we're still working on what that fuel mixture looks like, but I think we have a good mixture.
Yeah, and in some cases it even amplifies. Like when the expansion comes out, the reward track is going to be, it's going to amplify everything you do, which I think is, there's a good complement there.
And I think you hit the nail. I love the seasonal content too. I think it's thematic. It sort of provides fun activities, but I think finding a way to get continued value out of that is something we're looking into, and I think some.
My only problem is like, and I think that this is what like the people are trying to say, and I think maybe the devs acknowledge it to some extent. It feels like for some people, myself included, there's not enough to do in New World's end game. You've got like M10s, the Sandworm raid if you can find a group for it. There's Outpost Rush, 3v3 Arena, and if you can get involved, I guess there's like Wars and Invasions as well. So the more stuff there is to do in endgame, the better. And the problem with seasonal content is it rotates out at the end of the season, and then you lose some of the end game. And I think the hatchery is actually really good right now. It's a really good way to get Ward and Bane gear, which again, probably not going to make too much sense in Season 3, because it seemed like Ward and Bane gear being removed from the game, but haven't actually had any mention of that in this particular video yet.
We'll invest in more.
Well, you know, and I didn't even think of this when I first answered, is I love the idea of an overarching story on top of the main story that continues and keeps pushing forward. I think that is also really fun.
Yeah, there's like the whole reason you're on a tournament, and then there's your day-to-day activities in getting Silver Crows together and helping out other folks in the tournament.
A barbershop feature is on your plans. Can we expect it to be coming next year?
This year, right?
It is in our plans. It's something we talk about a lot. So right now, we're talking about the Q&A from Season 2. Our next communication, like that's kind of forward thinking, is going to be more about the expansion. And then after that, at some point, we'll do a roadmap that goes into a lot more specifics next year. So with that in mind, we are thinking about barbershop, but we're really not ready to talk about it yet.
That kind of confirms that it is in Season 3 then. Or I don't know, you could extrapolate. Because he said in the next video they're going to talk about Season 3, which is a shame, because then this video... yeah, I don't know. I feel like this whole video is not as exciting as I wanted it to be, because I was hoping that it was going to be Season 3 expansion stuff. But next video, make sure you guys subscribe and like for that one. Then we'll actually have the juice, hopefully.
More to come.
Yes.
I know, it's pretty embarrassing. All right, let's move on.
Can we expect any update to address team imbalances in Outpost Rush and solo arenas in the near future?
Yeah, matchmaking would be nice.
So I think, we've seen a lot of OPR matches, especially with Crossworld happening, which has been great just to see the amount of matches dramatically increase and queue times come down. I think that's been great. What we have seen with this also, though, now is a little more polarity in the results. There have been some matches where there are stomps. We're definitely seeing, in terms of heat maps, the spawn camping, in terms of score distribution, some lopsided matches.
1,000 points to
we
3.
know it's an issue. We are starting to look at it. With that said, matchmaking is a huge and complex problem, and it will take us a while to sort of get a solution that we're happy with. But we are aware of it. We're looking into it, and we're beginning to work on it.
But I mean,
I hope like ranked arena and ranked Outpost Rush could be a thing in the future. I think it'd be really cool. Like ranked PvP in New World. Oh, dude, I mean, it's some of my favorite things to do in like other MMOs, like World of Warcraft, like ranked 3v3, ranked 2v2. Man, it's so much fun. I hope they bring it to New World at some point.
Data shows that there's a lot more parity than we expected. It's just what happens is you get stomped, and then you remember that a lot more than you remember all the, semi-close matches.
Yeah. Yeah, I think especially, we'll talk more about this in Balance of Power. The weapon parity, I think, is very strong. But the match parity, there's some good matches, and there are definitely some outliers.
Have you ever thought about reworking the debuff bar? In its current state, it easily gets filled up and is generally hard to read. For example, multiple fortify effects from different sources all show up as separate shield icons. What's the point? Also, things like Berserk cooldown should show up on the weapon icon and not in the buff bar, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is something that we are looking at. I know that also, if you have a lot of con and your HP is really high, sometimes that doesn't show up on your bar. And so it looks like you're not taking damage even when you are. So this is something that we're actively looking at. I don't have an ETA on when things are going to change, because that's a pretty complex UX system. But it is something that we're looking at, so stay tuned.
Will there be the addition of the other siege weapons in OPR? Like, will we be able to swap repeaters on outposts for cannons, etc.?
And the horn, dude, blowing the horn, that's the best thing to do in the war. Just blow the horn. It's Horn of Gondor all the time. Also, what was the previous question? It was something to do with the UI. Oh yeah, apparently I think it's like related to your health. If you have 10,000 health or more and you take damage and it doesn't knock you below 10,000, it doesn't actually show it to other players. So sometimes when you hit somebody in like PvP and you don't see that health bar moving at all, or you didn't even see that health bar, it's because you haven't knocked them below 10,000 health, which is kind of like a I don't know, it's for a distinctly new world sort of bug feature.
We're thinking about that. No definitive plans. I think we made some changes to the balance of siege weapons in season 2. I think we're going to continue to look at sort of the impact they're having, and I think that's a good way to shake up the mode a little bit. So, no definitive plans yet, but definitely something we're considering.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that is it. Those are all the questions I have here.
Cool. Well, thanks for all the questions. Keep them coming. There's no community question on the Q&As, so otherwise I'll just say if you like what you saw, subscribe, like, and do all those cool things, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
And see you in the turn.
And see you in Eternum.
All right, next video. On the next
There
one.
are some new combos that experts, in quotations, if you know what I mean, are pulling off here with the blunderbuss. Those are things we did not anticipate as a part of the design, and it would not surprise me when you load up the monthly patch if those combos are no longer possible.
Get wrecked, blunderbuss users. It sounds like, I think that was, they said the next Forged in Eternum, but I think they mean balance of power. So they have another video series where it's like just Dave, typically, good old Dave, and he's talking about weapon balance. So I don't know if they meant to say Forged in Eternum. Well, friends, it seems like the video that we're actually looking for was, you know, for the Season 3, the juicy expansion details. That's the next Forged in Eternum video, so I guess for August. One thing that was pretty cool last year is Amazon invited us down to London, me and a few other streamers, content creators, and we got a chance to get hands-on of Brimstone Sands before it was actually available to the public. So it was like a sort of preview of the test server. Don't know if that's going to be happening this month, but if it is, last time we got the chance to drop some footage onto YouTube. So again, you know, I'm just going to leave a cheeky plug here. Make sure you guys are subscribed if you want to see that content. If you do want to see any potential news about the Season 3 expansion early, then we'll have it here on the channel for sure. To the best of my ability, I'll try and get it out to you guys. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you go ahead, click the like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.